Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Tony Sapita, and today we are joined again by a special guest, White Sox expert and my season ticket partner, Jason Frank. How you doing today, Jason?
Hey, Tony. Pretty good. Thanks for having me on again today.
Oh, of course, glad to see you back. And we got a loaded show today. Today we were hitting on the Chicago White Sox. We're going to touch on kind of a quick recap of the dismantling of the Chicago Cubs, why Yasmani Grandal is quietly the biggest piece of this White Sox team, and then looking ahead to next week. But before we kind of dive into that, we're just going to thank our sponsor, Stupid Car Tray. I have a tray. It works. I had it in the car with me on the way to the Sox game, every game this last weekend. And if you want to enjoy Sox games, whether it's on the road or at home, head to www.stupidcartray.com and use code J16, JAY16 at checkout to get 16% off. Link is in the description. So, all right, Jason, let's talk some White Sox. So first, we're going to start with the recap. So since the last episode, the White Sox are 4-3. They split a hard-fought series against the Blue Jays up in Toronto. Craig Kimbrell looked terrible, to be honest, but we'll talk about that on another episode. Tim Anderson came back to the lineup. He's feeling hot. He's absolutely mashing. And then the good guys, the White Sox, baby, came back home and had one of the wackiest series of all time against the Chicago Cubs. It started out down with game one. I was still in the parking lot for the whole first inning with Chicago Nick, who's normally on these episodes. And they went down 6-0 the first inning. So happy I missed it. Dallas Keuchel should have probably made his last start for the Chicago White Sox. This is a Ronaldo Lopez spot now. He doesn't deserve to be on this team anymore. Get Dallas Keuchel out of here. But the La Russa's boys don't quit. Doesn't work as well without Ricky, but La Russa's boys don't quit. They stormed back with 8 in the third inning, went on to win 17-13. 30 baseball runs were scored. 30. That is insane. Craziest game I've ever been to in my life. Unfortunately, game two was much less fun if you're a Sox fan. Lance Lynn got tagged for 7 runs and the Sox got shut out. But that didn't deter the best lineup in baseball. They put up 13 runs on the Cubs on Sunday to win 13-1. Absolutely blew them out of the water. Dylan Cease went 6, giving up just 4 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 11. 11. That's insane. I think he threw like 110 pitches. Just an absolute workhorse out there. Eloy hit another home run against the Cubs because he owns the Chicago Cubs. Luis Robert put up two dingers himself. He looks awesome. So, Jason, what was your kind of favorite moment, your biggest takeaway from just this last week in general?
Yeah, first off, shout out my brother Jeff. He bet Eloy home run on that third game and a hit. Congrats for that.
Yep.
But biggest takeaway was 30 runs over 2 games. We won't talk about Saturday. That never happened. But it really shows that the White Sox are back. I mean, they show that stat if you watch a lot of the Sox games. Since June 30th, we've had the most home runs. So liking where we're headed into October, starting to get hot.
Absolutely. And arguably the biggest story, we talked about some home runs right there. The biggest story of the weekend, in my opinion, was Yasmani Grandal announcing his return and announcing it loudly with a bang, baby, multiple bangs at that. And I'll admit, I was down on Yasmani Grandal. I told Jason I'd admit to it. He was in my group chats where I was ragging on Yasmani Grandal all of last year and at the start of this year, but I'm officially a believer. I have seen the light. Jason, tell the people about the enigma that is Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah, so our boy Yaz, he got ejected actually in the first inning of his final AAA game. So I think he was just as excited to come back and play at the G spot as we were to see him play. But on Friday, our boy Yaz went 4 for 6, 2 home runs, a double, and 8 RBIs. I tweeted it out already, but wow, was it great to see that Yaz bat flip on that first home run. An absolute bomb. It was beautiful. You couldn't ask for a better first game. And Tony, you got to see that first game live. So jealous. He went off. And then Saturday, 0 for 2. That's all right. But he got a walk. And why do we like Yaz? Because he gets on base. Shout out Moneyball. And then on Sunday, he went 2 for 4 with another Yaz bomb. It was beautiful to watch that one. Tony and I both saw that. and 2 RBIs. So Yaz is definitely back. And then also a little side note, we got to see Hendricks come in the final Cubs game. And we were kind of talking, trying to figure out why we would bring him in with the score the way it was. But it was really just, we think, so Hendricks and Grandal could link up since Grandal's been gone for so long. And then a little side note, a little stat Tony and I found. Grandal's base on ball percentage is currently over 24%, while the guy in second, Juan Soto, sits at 20.4%. Now, the person closest to Grandal with the 24% base on balls percentage over the last 10 years is Joey Votto in 2015, who ended the season with 20.6%. So that really just shows why we like him, because he just gets on base.
He gets on base. Yeah, quick thing before I talk about him behind the plate as well. That home run he hit to tie up the game on was that Monday on Friday night. I apologize. That was I said it to Jason because we were at that Yankees game where Jose Abreu hit the game tying home run at the end of the game. They ended up losing, but that was the second loudest. That Yasmani Grandal home run was the second loudest I've ever heard a stadium ever in person in my entire life. People were going absolutely bonkers, fights in the stands. Everyone was having a great time. So he just brings that energy back to this team. Not that we didn't have it already, but it just adds more. You can never have enough. And speaking of that, behind the plate, it's great to have him back because Collins and Sebi, they did fine. They kept the boat afloat. That's all you can ask for. But it was you saw pretty quickly how much of a veteran presence he has behind the plate. He stopped everything. He called a great game. He didn't catch on Saturday, and I'm not saying that's why we lost. Lance Lynn has won without him already, but you definitely saw a difference in the game with him DHing instead of behind the plate. And speaking of other pitchers, as opposed to what we were talking about, that was a slick transition there. We are going to look ahead to the coming week. So Monday we actually had off. We're recording this on a Monday night. Very sad with no White Sox baseball. They actually have an off day as well on Thursday, so the boys can kind of rest. Shout out Tony La Russa for actually resting a bunch of guys on Sunday, so they would essentially have 3 full days off for taking on here it comes, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Oh, we're terrified. They're currently 48-83. They're sitting in the basement, the absolute bottom of the NL Central, who I would argue is the worst division in baseball outside of the Milwaukee Brewers. We got Giolito and Rodon going. Get right game for Giolito, in my opinion. Rodon, just make sure you stay healthy, get out there, throw a couple pitches, get out, don't get hurt. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to take both games, especially coming off a rest, going into a rest. Jason, I know we got 3 big ones against Kansas City this weekend. You want to fill us in on that one?
Yeah, so those 3 games coming up, we have to take pretty seriously. Kansas City is 7-3 in their last 10. So, there's a chance we could lose. We lost to the Cubs once. We'll see what happens. They remind me of the Sox a few years ago. They got a bunch of young guys with potential that can certainly steal a game and even the series from under our noses if we're not careful. They've even got Salvador Perez, who absolutely needs our respect. I mean, last week he won Player of the Week with 6 home runs and 14 RBIs. So this guy's not messing around. We got to respect him. Now, all that being considered, if our bats are hot and we score early, we should have a good chance to sweep the series.
Absolutely. Another guy too, Whit Merrifield, one of my favorite players in baseball. It sucks he plays for the Royals because that guy is an absolute machine. He's their version of Tim Anderson, and I always respect him. I like watching him play. But there really is no reason why the White Sox can't take at least 4 or 5 this week. I think they can take all 5, but I mean, you got to think they'll drop one. The Royals always play us tough. And especially the Astros had the feisty Mariners up in Seattle, and the Mariners have been looking good. Some people on the internet are calling them America's team because they keep just beating the Astros and the Yankees, which is awesome. And then they go to San Diego, take on the Padres, who they've been kind of weird recently, but they still got Fernando Tatis. They still got a great rotation. So there's really no reason by the end of the week that we can't have that second playoff spot. And then we just got to coast through the rest of the season. I think the Astros still have a tough remaining schedule, so hopefully we can take over that spot. And Jason and I will get a bunch of home tickets for the ALCS. and then we'll just ride off into the World Series like it ain't no thing, baby. So with that, that's going to do it for another episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Tony Sapita. Thank you again to White Sox expert Jason Frank for joining me again today. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, Southsiders. See ya.